was stolen. 3 retired generals are now warning that the military needs to take action now to prevent another insurrection. They wrote in part in the Washington Post, quote, "We are chilled to our bones at the thought of a coup succeeding next time. Without constant maintenance, the potential for a military breakdown mirroring societal or political breakdown is very real." It's a chilling warning. 2 of the men who wrote that warning join me now, retired U.S. Army General Paul Eaton and retired U.S. Army Brigadier General Steve Anderson. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining me this morning.
Merry Christmas, Jim.
Good to be with you.
Great to be here.
General Anderson, you note in your piece how 1 in 10 of the Capitol rioters charged in the insurrection had ties to the military. How far do you believe extremist views, as well as ties to extremist organizations, extend in the military? And potentially, are you saying here, it's enough of a group that it could lead to a mutiny?
Absolutely. I mean, we're very concerned, and we think that that's one of the things that we recommend in our piece, is that we gather intelligence about our workforce and make sure that the people in the military are not part of extremist groups. DOD just issued some policy prohibiting active membership, but allowing membership nevertheless, and we believe that that's just not going far enough. The FBI has a list of gangs and extremist groups, and I submit to you that if you're a soldier in the United States Army, you can't be a member of that gang or that extremist group and also be a member of the United States military. I mean, membership in groups like that allow them to legitimize their organizations and cite military members as leaders. And the Army is a team. We fight and win as teams. And being a member of a hate group is antithetical to everything American. Serving in the military is a privilege and not a right. And our soldiers need to know that. So we need to gather intelligence to make sure we identify those folks that might potentially be succumb to that kind of hateful rhetoric.
And essential, you know this better than me certainly, but an essential feature of military service, General Eaton, is of course obeying the chain of command. We've seen examples where that's been broken. One being, and you mentioned this in your piece as well, the commander of the Oklahoma National Guard refusing the commander-in-chief's, that is the president's, order for vaccinating members of the military, claiming that the Oklahoma governor somehow was his commander-in-chief. Explain to folks at home how damaging that could be if soldiers, members of the military, decide, I'm not going to follow the commander-in-chief.
Well, Jim, if you insert doubt in the electoral process in the United States, the entire nation will be subject to some level of confusion. If you do that and have some level of confusion in greater America, you're going to have the same thing in the United States military. We're a very hierarchical organization. We are very clear in what the chain of command is. And the governors of Oklahoma, Texas, Florida, with respect to their National Guard chain of command, have inserted doubt already. So it behooves the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and everybody in the Pentagon to go through an education process on civics and on chain of command.
And as you note, and we note frequently on this broadcast, the former president continues to sow that doubt. One of your recommendations, in addition to an intel operation, in effect, to seek out folks who hold these views, have ties to these organizations, is for the military, General Anderson, to war game this out, as it does for a whole host of international threats, foreign threats, but to war game out what would happen domestically if you had division in the ranks and the possibility of violence. In your experience, I mean, has the military ever war gamed out a domestic threat like that?
Well, we have done that in the past. We need to do better, though, obviously. We need to imagine the unimaginable, Jim. I mean, who would have thought a year ago that thousands of people could storm the U.S. Capitol as they did? I mean, we need to think about all threats. Now, one of the things that the military is really good at is strategic planning and wargaming. And so we need to start thinking now about what things we can do to make sure that we're prepared for 2024, because we know that the bad guys, the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys, they're out there planning right now. So we need to think about all potentialities, all threats, physical, cybersecurity, and the like. They are out there trying to do what they can do to get ready for 2024 and to be more successful than they were in 2020. And the military needs to be thinking about that right now.
I'm going to quote again from your piece here, because again, here we have two serving, now retired, but folks who served at the highest levels of the U.S. military. You did your time, decades of military service to your country. You write, under such a scenario, it is not outlandish to say a military breakdown could lead to civil war. And, you know, I read that, and that sent chills up my spine here. And I know, General Anderson and General Eaton, you don't say this lightly here. Do you believe, General Eaton, that our leaders have sufficient appreciation of this? Let's set aside, sadly, most of the Republican Party at the leadership level who either are staying away from this, some of them actively participating in questioning the outcome of the 2020 election. Are our serving leaders, the president, Democratic leaders, aware of this sufficiently and doing enough to contend with this?
Jim, Steve already brought up a failure to imagine that we've had in the past. And the reason that we war game and the reason that we put role players with great imaginations into the war game is to identify the faults, the cracks, and to develop contingency plans to address those cracks. When you have a major political party start playing with fire the way they are doing right now and inserting doubt into our electoral process, that doubt will compromise all entities in the United States. And that includes all our police forces, both federal, state, local, and the United States military. So the Republican Party, and it is the Republican Party, has got to redress, has got to turn and quit this very dangerous approach that they've applied right now to electoral validation.
Well, and as you noted to me the break, both of you said you were longtime Republicans. This is not a partisan issue for you, no. I know it's a patriotic issue. Major General Paul Eaton, Brigadier General Steve Anderson, thanks so much to both of you.
Merry Christmas, Jim.
Jim, thank you.